Welcome to the Michigan Runner Show. Join us each time as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great sport.
We're on with Don Kern, our final installment of 4, and we're getting down to the chase. I met Don as the aforementioned in the other videos. Well, actually, I met him in some other mischievous ways too when he was running naked on the South Belt Line and had a house in Martin with 7 gargoyles. But running the Frogger 5.5K, which involved us probably trespassing on people's property, running a bizarre distance, starting and ending at a microbrewery that no longer exists, and also that you're running through an ice storm. So that has metamorphosed, but one constant that has remained is the quest for a good microbrew. Now, Don has some expertise in this.
I've had a couple beers here and there. And the funny thing is, what I credit for the beginning of my microbrew career is the day before my first marathon, Chicago 95. Sam Adams was there, and that was back when Sam Adams was considered a microbrewery. Okay,
Yeah.
pretty much a mainstream outfit at this point. But I had a Sam Adams cherry wheat at the Chicago Marathon Expo in 1995. And I was like, wow, okay, this isn't like your normal Bud Light, Schlitz, Blatz, Pepsi, Blue Ribbon stuff. It was pretty darn good. In fact, I still have one. I get nostalgic every time I have a chance to drink a Sam Adams cherry wheat, which happens, occasionally nowadays. But yeah, but then, it was funny because in the early career, in my early running, I happened to be running around Grand Rapids downtown one day, and there's Founders Ale House, and it was a little bitty brewery back then, and it was up in a Brassworks building, and it's like, there's a brewery here, and so I was like, so I called up Sean and said, hey, you want to go to this brewery? And so we started hanging out at the brewery. And
this is Sean Sweet.
Sean Sweet, yeah, my buddy, he lives in Hawaii now, but he and I keep pretty close contact still, and we're really still close. And but we actually started putting on races at breweries, and they had their stout release party. They only did stout once a year, and it was in December 2000, and it was $20, and you got a T-shirt and a little bit of food and a beer. And I'd say, well, what's the difference between that and a race? It's running, right? So basically, we just used their event. We sent out emails to all our friends and said, hey, whatever. And we started over by the fish ladder across the street, 6th Street Dam there. And we went around and followed the trail along the side of the river. We did a whole 5K out and back in downtown Grand Rapids without crossing a street, which was awesome. And it was a snowy Friday night in December, and we had a ton of snow just a couple days before. There weren't even any tracks in the trail yet. So I marked the trail with red or like orange construction chalk on top of the snow, and just got that done. And then we went across the street. We gave Founders we reserved, and we gave them the money from the entry fee, the $20, and went across the street and had a couple beers at Founders. But since then, we did a thing out at RT's, Robert Thomas, which is now Schmoes. Founders, of course, has gone on to become like an international phenomenon. I've drunk their beer in Ireland, for crying out loud, in a microbrewery, in fact, in Dublin. And then we started going to the Frog, and which became the Hideout later. But we were at the Hair of the Frog when we conceived the Grand Rapids Marathon. We called a bunch of our friends together and said, hey, we're thinking about doing this. Come on out. Let's have a brainstorm session. And so we did. And it's just one thing led to another. But in the process, I really and let me just make it plain. I don't drink a lot. I drink frequently, but I don't get drunk except, on rare occasions, maybe once a year, most years, not even. And, but I just, but I like the craft. I like it. And it's like everything else, when people are good at something and they love what they're doing, you know, and it works for running, and it works for beer, and it works for music, and it works for writing, and all that kind of stuff. You know, I just love the craft that comes from this, and the passion of the people that are in the middle of it. And you know, and you can tell from the way that I do marathons that, you know, I'm passionate about that. I love doing it. I love being part of it. I like the craft of all that kind of stuff. I like, even when we were out at the hideout, we'd hang out at the hideout, which is what the Hair of the Frog became. And we had a hideout authors club. There were 4 of us that had books published, and we just, every once in a while, we'd just be getting together and having a beer and talking over all kinds of stuff. And sometimes it was stories and so on. But got some great friends out of it. And you know, when you're in a different city or something, you can always count on the brewery to be a place where there's guys that are just nice. They like the craft of it. Most breweries don't get a lot of people getting like sloppy drunk or anything like that. They're usually, you know, have a beer or two and you know, go home. And so it's just been a really great adventure being part of the beer culture.
Well, yeah, we are having fun here, but always please drink responsibly,
Oh
and
yeah.
please respect the craftsmanship, and a lot of that respect for excellence or doing something well carries over, as you mentioned, through the disciplines, you know, through writing, through putting on races, um, through whatever you do, you know, being a good friend, inspiring people, reaching out to others. Um, and if you're interested in a race such as the Grand Rapids Marathon or the peripheral events, you will have an experience. Is there a common website to check them at?
Oh yeah. If you go to Grand Rapids Marathon website, just grandrapidsmarathon.com, and there's a link to our other events there. And or you can find me very easy on Facebook. I don't have like a private thing. Anybody can ask me to be friends, and I'm likely to say yes if you have been on Facebook more than 5 posts worth of having something out there. I get a lot of invitations there, of course, from people that are trying to spam you for stuff. But you know, I you know, if you're interested in joining the dialogue, I'd love to have you. And you know, if you want to join my Facebook or my newsletter mailing list, that's out there. Just scroll down on the first page of the Grand Rapids Marathon website, and you know, you'll hear me share a lot of different stuff. It's kind of fun. And some of it's, you know, you know, my life's kind of an open book. I'm happy to share. I try not to do stuff that's too far out of line ever. But I also tend to be, as Sean used to say, you know, you tend to orbit a little farther out than the rest of us. And so
That's
I'll
fun
take
too. It
I'll
makes it.
take credit for that. You know, I love Sean. He's such a good guy, and but he's a guy that always will tell me exactly like it is. He doesn't mince any words over it. So, you know, we all need friends like that that will just like blow stuff back in our face when we need them to. And he's one of my guys. So,
Well, we
but
sure
yeah,
have that as runners. We sure have that
yeah,
as runners and participants in this community.
yeah. You. That's another thing about running is you get so many close friends because you know, if you're out running for 2 or 3 hours with somebody, you're going to run out of stuff to share, and it's going to get a whole lot more intimate than just the superficial stuff. You know, you're going to know about way more things about people than you probably wanted to. So 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 there's that.
Well, we found this out today, and I don't want to overstay our time or our welcome. Don, it's so great to talk with you. Check out the Grand Rapids Marathon, the B2B qualifier, you know, the Groundhog's Day Marathon, you know.
Facebook.
Oh yeah, and don't forget to buy lots of copies of Don's book, and he'll probably autograph them
I
in
will.
person because he has them in his garage.
Yeah, there's a whole pile of them here. Yep.
Don, thank you so much. Thank you so
Got
much
it.
for being
Fun.
part of this.